Good morning or good afternoon, depending on what time you watch this video. This is a tropical update on Hurricane Milton. Hurricane Milton is making its way toward the Florida coastline, and it is on its final approach, and landfall is imminent sometime later on tonight or very early on Thursday. The timing of landfall has moved up somewhat due to the forward motion of Milton beginning to increase, and it seems as though landfall will be taking place later on tonight. There have been some structural changes, as you notice that there is no clear visible eye on satellite. However, the center of circulation is within this bubble of convection here. Now, this change in structure is due to some dry air beginning to work its way into Milton. Also, there is some shear that is allowing the system to become a little bit more ragged and less symmetric than what it was the other day. So the conditions are still going to be pretty much the same. Storm surge, high winds to coastal areas. If you haven't evacuated, it's basically too late at this point. I hope you did evacuate watching this video. I hope you're in a safe place while you're watching this video because Hurricane Milton is imminent within the next couple of hours. There have been some rain bands making its way along shore along the western coast portions of the state of Florida, and also there have been some tornado watches and warnings. There have been a few tornadoes that have actually touched ground in some locations in Broward and Palm Beach counties. So just because you're not near the core of this system doesn't mean that you won't experience any impacts. Now, taking a quick look on IR satellite, we can see here that Milton obviously is not the same looking system that we dealt with yesterday. Yesterday was a very symmetric donut-shaped eye. We do not see that anymore. The eye has filled in, and it is showing signs that Milton is beginning to slowly weaken. However, it is still a very formidable Category 4 storm, and the impacts are likely to be the same. Storm surge, high wind, and widespread power outages are expected throughout the storm. You can see here on this vapor satellite that Milton is beginning to make that right turn towards the state. Depending on how sharp of a turn also gives you an indication on where the landfall could be. A more sharper turn could maybe bring Milton into areas just north, maybe around Sarasota, or if the turn is a less sharp, maybe you can see areas like Bradenton or toward Tampa Bay. However, the landfall location is almost pretty much set somewhere south of Tampa and maybe north of the Port Charlotte area. So if you're in these areas, I would hope that you guys have already evacuated and that you guys are safe, because Milton is going to be making landfall later on today. Now, taking a quick look at the reconnaissance, we can see that Milton is beginning to weaken a bit because that pressure is beginning to rise. The first pass of recon earlier this morning had a pressure of about 917 millibars, and then on its last pass before it returned back to base, it was about 932 millibars. So we can see here that Milton is beginning to weaken. However, the impact still should be the same. Currently, the pressure of Milton is at 931 millibars. Maximum sustained winds are 145 miles per hour, and that forward motion has increased to about 17 miles per hour, moving to the northeast. So we can see here that Milton is on its quick approach to the coast of Florida, and landfall is imminent. Landfall seems to be somewhere along the Gulf Coast of Florida, just south of Tampa is where the National Hurricane Center has the official landfall point. However, there are flux and tweaks to the landfall location. The landfall could be just south of the landfall location or north of there. So if you're along the Gulf Coast, do not let your guard down as Milton is on its way. Now, I just want to take a quick look at radar here, and you can see how there isn't a complete symmetric donut that is surrounding the center of Milton. The system, of course, is moving to the northeast at about 17 miles per hour, and conditions are already going downhill along the Gulf Coast. Now, storm surge is still going to be an issue, and we're still going to be looking at storm surge of estimates between 10 to 15 feet along areas that are just south of the center of low circulation. So in all, Hurricane Milton is on its final approach. Devastating hurricane force winds are expected along portions of the west coast of Florida, where hurricane warning is in effect. Milton is forecast to remain a hurricane while it crosses Florida peninsula, and life-threatening hurricane force winds, especially in gusts, are expected to spread inland across the peninsula. Preparations to protect life and property, including being ready for long durations of power outages, should be rushed to completion. At this point now, if you haven't done your last-minute plans, you basically run out of time as tropical storm force winds are approaching the coastline of Florida. Stay safe, and until next time, have a great one.